Hi, sixth grade parents, or anyone else watching this. I'm Courtney Manuel from Northwest Christians Homeschool, and I wanted to make a video to explain the math test that we gave this year, what it means, what to do with it, how to use it as a tool. So the current math teachers and I and some specialist teachers came together to create a test that assesses information that a sixth grader should master by the end of sixth grade, not seventh grade material that a student curriculum wide, right? There's so many curriculums out there that they should master by the end of sixth grade. Put that information together in a test, and the test was way too long and ridiculous. So then we reduced a number of the questions so that it would be in a sizable chunk, hopefully done in about half an hour, 45 minutes. To assess students, not to say they're smart or not smart, just to say, hey, here's a gap, or here's an area where students are generally not as strong. And then the goal is to share the test with you, to send it home with you, for you to see where your student is at, for a couple of reasons. One, you could see areas of strength where maybe they've grown and you're like, yes, we worked so hard in adding or subtracting fractions and my kid gets it, or in ordered pairs and they graphed and they nailed it. Okay, that's the winning option. The other is, okay, we need to work on simplification. Let's take a couple of weeks this summer, or let's watch a video or two from Khan Academy on how to simplify or reduce fractions, or how to add or subtract negative numbers, or how to use a number line. So I want to show you the test and some of the specific skills we were looking for in the test, so you can see how your student did and go from there and use this as a tool for you. So here's the test. First off, you can see we totally, these questions were numbered and then it was lost when we did some formatting. So we are always improving. But you can see this is your basic arithmetic section. It is assumed that students in sixth grade have already mastered the basics of whole number addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So these are dealing with some decimals, as well as negative numbers. And you can see the negative numbers. So some of your students maybe did 3,940 divided by -5, and they have a positive number that they did correctly. So they divided, they did it right. They just are learning how to use negative numbers. So a lot of this section on the bottom is looking at, do students know how to deal with a negative? The section, these two on the right up on top, this is dealing specifically with decimals. Do they know how to use a decimal? And then basic arithmetic, -611 subtract -818 should end up with a positive number. That's just looking at how they're dealing with this. All right, some basic, now again, these are sixth grade mastery skills. These aren't things that they've been just introduced to. These are things that they've been introduced to, they've learned, and now they can show mastery in these areas. We were looking for greater than, less than, or equal to for these three different fractions. Do they know how to deal with mixed fractions? So these are just cues for you, the parent, to aid them in being ready for seventh grade math come the fall. Okay, solving for X. Some students saw this and ran away on their paper. They're like, I don't know how to do this. And then they're like, wait, I think I could figure it out. And we love that spirit, the tenacity and the problem solving. You might not have dealt with squareds before, and this is a new topic. Okay, it's time to introduce, practice, and get to a mastery point on what is an exponent. Not all of them. I would say for sixth grade, it's really just being able to square a number using an exponent of a 2. We're not looking for 3s, 4s, 7s, negatives, any of that, just the exponent of 2. This one, a lot of students wrote 20. Not sure how to do that. And on your test, if it was correct, it was either left blank or put a little plus. If it was wrong, there should be a red slash to help you figure that out. Okay, the solve and simplify. Now these are adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing fractions. Some of them are with whole numbers. mixed numbers. So what we're looking for is, can they make a common denominator? Do they know how to do that? And then once they get their answer, can they simplify it? So at the top, it really does say solve and simplify. And a number of students made it part way. Maybe they didn't simplify, or they had a whole number they needed to pull out. These are just clues for you, the parent, to encourage them, exhort them, give them opportunity to learn, practice, and master these skills before 7th grade. Okay, moving down. Write the measure of the angle. Most students wrote 55 for this one, which when we read a textbook, we read left to right and go 0 up to 55. But to see where the angle is, this is actually an angle of 125. Now, if they saw 55, we know, hey, they know how to read the protractor. Awesome. Good job, mom. Good job, dad. Good job, student. What we're looking for is also to see the angle and to read it correctly. And then this is an obtuse angle. All right, next section is looking at perimeters and area. We're looking for the perimeter. So they're measuring around this triangle. Couldn't they add those numbers, the 3 plus the 4 plus the 5 together, and then find the area of that, which is 1/2 times of the base times the height. So we're looking for a 6 there. Perimeter, they need to measure all the way around, like they're walking around this fence to find the perimeter. The area could have been done a couple of different ways, and some students showed lots of different ways that they did that. They made 2 rectangles and a square. Some did the entire thing and subtracted the center. Do they know what area is? Do they know how to find it? Do they know what the unit on an area is? This isn't introduction. Again, we want them to know the material, master the material, that this is a piece of cake. So coming into 7th grade, we want to build on this. Next is plotting a few points. Now, each of these points is in a different coordinate plane. So we're going to have coordinate 1, 4, 7's out here, so that they would know 4 meant they're on the X, and 7 meant they're on the Y, so they come up here. Some students thought 4 represented the space versus the line. So that's a simple thing. You can show them that, practice that, make up your own coordinate pairs and have them graph a few things, or you graph a few things and have them tell you the coordinate pairs. That'd be a great way to follow up on this question if your student was struggling or having a hard time. A word problem. Word problems sometimes just make a brain melt right away. They're like, oh my gosh, there's too many words. So what we were looking for in this problem is they should be able to buy 2 packages, and then they have, I believe it's $3.22 left over, which isn't quite enough to buy a 3rd package. So she buys the most packages possible, which would be 2, and then they'd have $3.22. So when you're looking at your student's problem, did they multiply or add $3.89 together a bunch of times until they made it to $11? Or they could have divided $3.89 into 11. They could take $11 and subtract $3.89. There was so many different ways to do this problem, but some students got to this and they didn't know what to do. So if you can take a close look at where your student is and figure out how to help them best. Okay, label the number line for the following equation. Now, some students don't use a number line, and we totally get that. It was just here to see, like, do students know how? It's to grasp. Now, a number of students can just do this problem, 7 plus a -4, and they got the answer 3. Some still didn't know how to do this. So it's probably dealing with the negative number if they couldn't do that. Some of them, it was, I think, just seeing an empty number line that they're like, I don't know what to do. So please show them how to use this. There could have been done so many ways. You could have started at -4 down here, and then -3, -2, -1, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go up from there. And then they start at -4 and they want to add 7 to get to 3. Maybe they start at 7 and they work their way down, and you take 4 away and you end up at 3, and you don't even have negative numbers on your line. There's multiple ways to do this, but please give them some practice so they can do this coming into next year. All right, last one. Some students, I think by the end, their brain was fried. So this is just left blank. So you don't know what they know. And if your students is left blank, have them fill it out right now. Have a check. Do they know how to go from fraction to decimal to percentage? Can they do it with a number that's larger than 1? So this is 175%, which things are never on 175% sale, but you're going to see a price markup, or your house is now worth 175% of what it was. Give them some real life examples. How do you find 1.75 as a decimal into a fraction? Give them some skills. Khan Academy is a great resource. I'm going to stop sharing here. This is the end of the test. Khan Academy is a great resource. Maybe your textbook hasn't hit some of these topics. Just make sure that you're going to then finish that textbook, and not just finish it like check, 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 they did it, but do they know it? Can they repeat it back to you, or take their textbook that they finished? Go back to the beginning. Can they do some of these problems? It's been 9 months. Do they remember how to do this stuff at the beginning of 6th grade math? Maybe that's when they started decimals and they're like, oh, I don't remember. It's been forever, right? It's been a weekend. I don't remember. Just reviewing. I can put some links of some videos in the bottom, things that we've used as a family that have been really helpful. In going forward, we do want to make another test that will be an entry into pre-algebra. I know a number of you would love to have your students start into pre-algebra, get them a bump ahead. But if they're not ready for pre-algebra, and you're setting them up to struggle and to even get a distaste for math because they're being pushed harder than their mastery level is ready to be pushed, they can love math. But when you are reaching a point where the material is above your current capacity, this gap is so great. So really consider, where's the best placement for my student? Based on the test, we are going to make the best recommendation for you. And unless a student can pass the test into pre-algebra, we will require them to be in 7th grade math. And then based on the test that we're sending home says, this is where they are with 6th grade math. And the goal was, right at the end of 6th grade, they can hit all of that stuff. And they would be like, I am so ready for 7th grade. I've finished all my 6th grade stuff. And if your student came home with that, like, way to go. If your student came home with half of that done and half of that struggling, way to go. You have some work this summer, but your kid is progressing, you're moving forward, you're investing in their life. So if you have questions or concerns, please reach out to Ms. Wagley, to myself, to our math staff, and we want to work with you to find the best, even aids to help you this summer. We are continuing to look for curriculum that meets this body of upcoming 7th graders, and how to best bless them and encourage them in their math journey. Okay, thanks, parents.